We are now shifting from cost pressure to growth, how projects become bankable through partnerships, approvals, and of course, demand proof. Please welcome our moderator, QTIC's very own Melanie Anderson, General Manager of Strategy and Advocacy. Mel plays a really pivotal role in shaping Queensland's tourism future, driving strategy, industry development, and government engagement across the state. Mel is a really passionate advocate for collaboration and impact. She's at the forefront of policies and reforms that strengthen our visitor economy and create a thriving, sustainable future for Queensland tourism. I've experienced it working with her firsthand in region when she was on the tools, and we've become great mates as a result of that, and I love that. Mel is going to be joined by Michael Hurley from ARIA Developments, Luke Altschwager from Park Valley, Parkwood Village and Wavepool, and Naomi Miles from the Australian Age of Dinosaurs. Get your questions ready on the app if you have any of them. We'll throw some at them if we get the time. With Regional Futures Investment and Partnership, please welcome our panel this afternoon. Mel.
Thank you so much, Timmy. How good is it having him as an adopted Queenslander now? We love you. So it's so good having him here today. Good afternoon, everyone. While the panellists come up, let's just stand up because that was a pretty heavy session we just had. Let's just shake it out a little bit. Just shake your legs out, shake off that insurance cost, and let's move into something that's a bit more fun and exciting. Yes, okay.
That's very bright.
It is very bright, isn't it? So I'm going to do it a little bit differently this afternoon. I'm just going to go through our panellists one by one by means of an introduction, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their exciting new projects that they're working on. So I want to start first with Michael to my right, and Michael is from the ARIA Property Group. And Michael is a founding member of that group in 2003 with Tim Forrester. Proud Queensland company, as we all are up on the stage up here, so it's really an important thing, and I'm particularly happy to have these amazing Queenslanders on the stage to talk about what's coming up next. So Michael, ARIA, and many people would know ARIA, they've made a big footprint here in Brisbane, but ARIA are Australia's most awarded high-density residential accommodation. They have won Australia's Best Award in 2017, 2018, 2019, not 2020, not 21, but 22, 23, 24, and this year, just recently, awarded again Best Project for 2025 for high-res.
We keep getting lucky.
Lucky, there's nothing lucky. Also, core to your property portfolio is sustainability, and you also won Australia's most sustainable property development for a high-rise. That's pretty amazing. So, established Queensland company going out there and making it happen, but there's an exciting project underway, isn't there, Michael?
Well, a little project that I've been working on since '09, so coming on 17 years. We're trying to get up Sunshine Coast's first new 5-star hotel since Twin Waters in 1993. So it's been a little bit of a wait, but we're getting pretty close, and we're really excited to do an integrated hotel and resort up where we all grew up. Tim, Brent and I are all from Mooloolaba, so we're pretty excited to get into that space. And we've mainly been specialising in high-rise residential buildings, so long-term, but we're kind of a frustrated hotelier already with all the amenities and crazy rooftops and all these sort of innovations that we've been doing at ARIA. So we kind of feel we're almost ready to do a hotel development.
And I think that it's got a great design. It will potentially be where the new Mooloolaba foreshore is. So it'll just really transform that corner of the Sunshine Coast, won't it? Thank you, Michael. And to my left is another fabulous Queenslander and a pro golfer here. I'd like to welcome Luke. And Luke is currently the founder and managing director of Palm Valley and Parkwood Village, and I went there the other week, and it was such an exciting place because it's a golf course, but it's an integrated entertainment, leisure precinct, but it's also home to a football team. I think, what's it, Titans?
The Gold Coast Titans.
Yeah, Gold Coast Titans, yeah. So Luke is doing something super exciting, and I'm going to hand over to you to tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so about 15 months ago, the City of Gold Coast approved our golf and surf resort. Mick Fanning has jumped on board as an equity participant, and yeah, really exciting time for us. The technology of wave pools, some of you may have seen them, has really evolved over the last sort of 10 years. So we're looking to be in the ground around June next year and open mid-28.
How exciting. We're going to find out a bit more about that as we go on. And not last but least, the most amazing woman in Outback, it's Naomi from Australian Age of Dinosaurs. I've had the pleasure of working closely with both her and David Elliott, the most amazing man in the Outback, and seeing the progress and the hard work that they've been doing out in that space. But there are some exciting things happening for you too, Naomi.
Always. So we've been going since 2009 on the Jump Up as well, and we're trying to build Australia's most comprehensive, complete natural history museum. We've got the oldest continent on Earth. We need a museum dedicated to its history. So really since that time, since the get-go, since David and Judy were selling mandarins on the side of the road and got $350 to start the museum, that's our goal. Big dream. Small starts, but yeah, we're trying to build that comprehensive museum, and then it's just the tip of the iceberg of what we want to do out in the Outback Queensland.
And you have done so much already, and you know, when we look at tourism and ideas and concepts and thinking, when you have an idea, how do you take it forward to the next step and the next step, and to get a product up and running and to make it profitable? One that you've done just recently is the Dark Sky Sanctuary, which is very exciting. We all love looking at the stars. Nothing better in the Outback than to be out there and look at all the stars. So capitalising on that, Naomi did a lot of work in getting Australia's first accredited dark sky facility, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and secured that for Australia and our Outback. So well done on that. So it comes from an idea and puts it into practice. So with Destination 45, one of the pillars is investment, and to do that we have to have really strong people that come up with an idea, do the feasibility, get funding, and then bring it to fruition, and then hope it makes money for them to repay back that debt. So we're going to go deep dive on that space a little bit and just hear from our speakers about how hard it is, and what the challenges are and what the rewards are. Now, Michael, you were saying that it's been on the drawing board for a number of years, our Sunshine Coast first 5-star hotel in 35 years. How much does that cost? How much effort? What feasibility? What are your partners? How do you go about getting started with that idea?
Look, hotels are a bit of a different beast. So, you know, banks, you know, they like lending money. They're pretty risk adverse. So, you know, the less risk, the easier it is to get financing, and, you know, anything that comes with a little bit more risk just becomes a little bit more challenging. So, you know, I'll let everyone in on a secret with hotels. It's really quite simple. They're just, they're worth a multiplication of a cap rate, and it's only based on income, and that income goes up and down depending on room rate and occupancy. So because they can kind of fluctuate a little bit, the banks look at that and go, well, there's not a lot of certainty in it, so we're just going to lower the LVR. So we're just going to give you less money, and you've got to put more money in. So as a result, they're quite hard to fund. Our proposal at Mooloolaba is part residential apartments, which means we can sort of, you know, get that part financed quite easily, and then do the hotel along with it. So, you know, they're kind of simple, but they're very complicated at the same time. And then one of the other challenges, a 5-star hotel kind of needs a 5-star location. So unless you're in a really, really great spot, they're also hard to make work. But, you know, we're working through it, and probably the biggest piece for us at ARIA is, you know, we like to take a holistic approach. We don't want to just do a one-off project, which is why a lot of people know that just out that door's our backyard. We've been in South Brisbane since we started in 20 years, and we've done 18 projects. So we like to take a precinct-wide approach. And at Mooloolaba, it was really about leaving a legacy. So we really wanted to work with council on delivering that whole foreshore parkland that they've got in their master plan. So the major piece is about how do we deliver that last stage of parkland. We've come up with a bit of a collaborative solution where you know, we can actually help council deliver that. And also, I'm kind of glad it took us this long, because truth be told, we weren't really ready. A few years ago, we might have thought we were ready, but we've come a long way in the last 4 or 5 years, and we've made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot of lessons, and we kind of feel like we're ready for the challenge.
It's a lot of preparation, isn't it? So, Luke, you have to build some significant infrastructure for your project, a wave pool. So for those that aren't really sure, there's a few around the world, but you're going to bring the latest technology so that surfers can have different styles of waves. And that's a big body of water. That's a lot. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, I guess for context, the size of the lagoon is, for those of you that play golf, is effectively the length of a par 4. So we're talking a very, very, like a large aquatic body of water. So a fairly substantial construction project. So a big part of that is to try and understand just how to build it. I mean, the first of, so back to basics is how do you build a lagoon that size? How do you filter the water? How do you make sure it's safe? You're talking about insurance, making sure the lagoon itself does this. So part of, to your point just before around time, I mean, we've had, I think since 2018-19, we were sort of deep diving into the space. We knew that there was something in this surf tech. But over the last 4 or 5 years, the industry's matured immensely. There's a number of lagoons around the world. I've just literally been in the States and Mexico last week, checking out construction sites, refining our construction methodology. So, yeah, it gets pretty...
Sounds like a tough gig doing all that
been very
research.
difficult.
Really struggling.
Yeah, where have you been just lately?
Cabo, Mexico,
yeah.
Brazil, USA, Bali.
I think Aria might have to get in wave pools as well.
Yeah. They're a really unique asset class, and we're really excited to be able to bring that to Queensland. I mean, from high-performance surfing through to learn to surf, through to water and aquatic safety, the broad spectrum of these pools are pretty impressive.
And you're building accommodation as well.
Yeah, so a big part of, if we talk about investment, is to de-risk the investment. So part of what we've done with the golf club in its current form is to bring mixed use and multiple uses to the site, and it was really successful around diversifying a golf course business. And so when we took the sort of stock of, well, what is a surf park? What does a surf park look like? When you start to look at the lens of what these sort of property developers are doing, it's wellness and lifestyle is attached. And when you have golf, we all know golf course residential sort of works, and then you bring a surf lagoon where you can on demand go out and surf 6-foot waves or 4-foot or 2-foot, pick your poison. And we felt there was a real opportunity to add lifestyle, hotel, hospitality, to something. And what that does is broaden the base from a funding point of view and broadens the risk profile, which allows the ability to fund it.
And the good news is high yield visitors to our economy, because how much does it take to rent out a...
So the sessions are from sort of $69, $79 through to about, I mean, you can go to $400 or $500, or you can private hire the pool. One of the really success stories around the world is private hires, like corporate events and surfers going on a surf trip instead of 15 hours to get to the Mentawais, or you can come in and you're guaranteed waves. And with the Gold Coast, having South Stradbroke Island 3.5 kilometres, 4 kilometres from our base, our ability to create a unique user experience where you're guaranteed premium waves while then being able to surf the ocean is a pretty unique experience globally. I mean, I've looked at nearly every operating pool, actually I think every operating pool in the world, and there's nothing where we can infuse both. So surf tourism is a big opportunity for us.
And the Olympics coming up too.
Yeah, high performance in the Olympics. Mick in Munich was blown away. As he was walking into the lagoon, it's like, geez, I hope he likes the pool. He's sort of a big deal if our ambassador doesn't like the technology as a 3-time world champ. And by the time we had 2 hours in the pool, and by the time he came out, it was 5 hours later, and I mean, I couldn't get him out of the water.
And there's no sharks.
No sharks.
Benefit. Naomi, now we've talked a bit about corporate, a bit about, the sporting side of things. How hard is it for a not-for-profit to do a big build in the middle of, the outback?
It has a few challenges. So we're a not-for-profit charity. And very, very much grassroots. So we have, I think, current estimate is just over $10 million worth of assets, infrastructure, and $14 million it's actually worth. So we do a lot of things ourselves. We get in there and just do a lot of things. We don't shirk on quality, but if there's something that we can save a couple of $100 to a couple of $1,000, we're going to do it. It's kind of the mantra of the Outback is you just roll up your sleeves and you just give it a go. And sometimes it's not the best thing right now, but it's going to be better. You just need to give it a go. So with us, it's just all about seeing a vision, staying really, really focused, and starting small. Really just, we started off with just a tin shed out of David and Judy's property. Nothing. And we had over 100 volunteers that year go out with no word of mouth, no social media, nothing. Then we moved to the Jump Up, and from there it is just grown, but in stages. We don't want something that's going to be a white elephant or going to distract from the region. It has to be sustainable. We have to draw a profit. We can never rely or have a backup. We're not council run, so we don't have those luxuries. So being sustainable, consolidating growth, and then moving on to the next stage is really important. If we want to build this museum, it's going to cost us over $100 million, which is big potatoes for us. But if somebody offered us $100 million right now, similar to what you were saying before, it's we're just not ready. We're building up a collection. We've been building up for 20 years, and we're talking about a couple billion years worth of Australian natural history that we've been collecting from all corners of Australia, all different time periods to tell that story. And it's a massive story to tell. It hasn't been told before. It can't be done overnight, otherwise it would be an empty building. And least of which, I mean, the sex appeal is the dinosaurs, but then we hit them with the natural history. So there's a huge story that we want to tell. We want to get that museum out there, but it takes a lot of hard work, and it's just on the ground. On the groundwork.
In the summer heat as well. I remember when I first met David, he had about $500 in his bank account, but he'd found all these dinosaur bones and wanted to bring it to life. And that passion just drove him through, and that support that you just together garnered just built that support network that helped drive that. But a lot of it was grant funding, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. So a lot of it grant funding, most of which from state, some from feds, and then also philanthropic. We have people that just really love the museum, and it's a legacy for them to donate to the museum, and also a legacy for us to have their involvement immortalised in a bronze dinosaur or something. So it's small funding, but it has to be something that we can actually equip. We dream big, but you can't actually put through an application that you can't meet the budget to put on time. Sometimes they're really boring projects. We need a shed so that we can start mounting specimens, but they're necessary. So it's always just keeping within our means, but just never deviating from that core purpose. There's so many opportunities that present themselves to us, and it's always keeping fixed on that core purpose. Otherwise, as soon as you deviate from it, your mission, well, that's when you see organisations start to drift and lose their purpose.
That's right. And David was lucky that you came out to work just for a season, didn't you? How long ago was that?
I think I had my bags packed the entire time, ready to go, but 12 years ago.
And that's why we love tourism, because of people like you, and you stick to it. So what about partnerships? Obviously, you're in Winton, Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast. Partnerships with the councils. How important is that for the work that you do? We'll start with you, Michael.
Oh, look, it's everything, because they're the planning authority. You've got to follow their rules, and sometimes they've got to take a leap of faith and have a bit of vision too, because a lot of the planning schemes are performance-based, and when we're trying to do things a little bit out there that sort of don't potentially fit inside that box, but that's also where having a reputation and a track record, we find, is sort of a big thing for us. I know in Brisbane here, we've been able to do a lot of really cool things over the years, and not just with our projects, but with the public realm and Fish Lane and Town Square and Eden Lane. So I think once you build up that trust and rapport, it gets a lot easier. But it still can be challenging at times. But we're very persistent, as a few people might know with us, and we do everything with a very long-term vision and approach. So we know that these projects will last a lot longer than us, and we want to leave a legacy with everything we do at ARIA. So sometimes that means you just got to wait a little bit longer to get a good outcome.
And Luke, obviously we've heard from the Gold Coast here today earlier, very proactive council. You're already DA approved, ready to go. How was that process?
It was long. We were very fortunate. You heard from Tim earlier, and between Tim, the mayor, the Invest Gold Coast sort of body, we've got a very proactive council of what does the city look like in 30 years. So, I mean, that said, you're still working within planning constraints, and we're in a very constrained site. So it was actually 4 years to get the approval for the attraction, and part of that challenge was we knew we needed the diversification of revenue to help fund this, but what that did was complicated the planning process. If I was just trying to do a surf lagoon, sport and rec inside a sport and rec zone, it would have been a pretty vanilla approval, but because we added residential and those other sort of formats, it made it much more difficult. And hearing from one of the ministers earlier around changing the planning, not so much act, but the lines on a page to be able to enable some of these tourism assets, I think, it's just great to hear that those things are happening. I mean, 4 years, Munich is the same surf technology that we're doing. We both signed our technology contract at the same time. They've been trading for a year and a bit now. So they were able to, in that same period I took to get an approval, they were able to get an approval and have it built and operating within a year. So even with a really proactive council, the planning legislation is still a big constraint.
It is. And in Winton, do you just go and meet them at the pub and have a steak and get it all signed off?
Mel, it's not that bad.
good.
It's the bakery. No.
It's the bakery.
But it is
Then
tricky,
the pub,
isn't it?
yeah.
Then the pub, that's right.
We have an
And
order. Yeah.
Has anyone been out to Australian Age of Dinosaurs? The infrastructure, you need to go out. You really do, because it's such a beautiful, it's been architecturally designed, it blends with the environment. The jump up is just an incredible place to be, that special environment. So I think the planning part of it was important, to have buildings that talk to the environment, isn't it? Rather than against it.
Yeah, definitely. There's definite purpose with the buildings and where they go. Sometimes the purpose is that it's just aesthetically beautiful to be in that location, to look out from the jump up and see the whole breadth of the Channel Country beneath you, just going out. But the buildings themselves are architecturally designed to blend in, to look as if they were meant to be there. So they're just tilt panels, like concrete tilt panels that have been hand rendered, usually by most of the Elliott family, with just latex masks from the jump up, with ochre just pushed onto it to make it look as natural as it's supposed to be. And then you've got the Gondwana Stars Observatory, which is also tilt panels hand rendered, but to look like a bolide crater, as if a meteor had landed very politely onto Earth instead of a smash. To look otherworldly, to look distinct from everything else, so it does stand out. So there's really conscious decisions about how to present natural history in the most beautiful way possible, because at the end of the day, we're trying to reimagine what a museum can be. It's not static, it's not boring, it's something where you can really engage with in the location that it occurs. You don't forget that you're here. There's going to be heat, there's going to be flies. That's part of coming to the Outback, it's part of the journey.
It absolutely is. We did have a question there from another Outback town just about how to get into that stargazing nighttime economy. And I know Charleville does it really well too. So, for people like myself who are obsessed with the night sky, you can actually do a trail across the Outback. So do you want to talk a bit about that and how hard it is to sort of really get that up and running?
It depends what you want to do. So there's different categories of dark sky places that you can apply through for the International Dark Sky Association. I think they've renamed it to Dark Sky International. We are a dark sky sanctuary, which means that we have to fulfill the criteria of being remote, close enough to an urban centre that we can have services and have a degree of outreach, so education component within it. There are other places, so currently we're working with the council to get them to become the first community in Queensland, and there's different criteria there. It's not so much around the darkness as in the intent to preserve the darkness. So depending on what you are wanting to do and where you are, there's different categories. They go from reserves to parks to sanctuaries to communities. I think there's even an urban one as well. But the process itself, I think we've spent $250 on it, and that was the application fee, because we did it ourselves, and we just learnt it as we went. It can be a little overwhelming, the lighting, but then we just Googled it.
Well, now ChatGPT.
We don't even have to. And same with the community application. We went out and took photos of all the street lights, and we worked out what the street lights were. So far, we've spent no dollars on that one, and we've just had the Ergon bulk replacement go through the town and replace the lights for free because they were going to do it anyway. So we got the lighting policy through at the same time. So you don't have to spend a lot of money.
just have the passion. Question that I'm reading now from the audience is that every project that gets built, there's a dozen that stall. That's such a good point because it takes a lot of time and energy and effort and money. Luke, what are the key factors that would make your project stall?
I guess in every project you have these sort of start-stops. I mean, I think a key part to that is to hold the North Star quite true, making sure what your intent is to be, in our case, is to create an active leisure resort using two sort of iconic sports in golf and surf. And then stalls may be a bit hard, but it's like, as you find a roadblock, then you need to find a solution. And I think if I look at our master plan, what I got approved and what we're going to build is actually two different things. We're in a minor change right now to make sure that the built form is buildable with cost escalations. And so I think the key element to any of these projects is these guys in the Outback doing this, it is to hold that North Star, and you don't stop until you get there. And you do go a little bit not in a straight line, but it's part of the journey of delivering something that is substantial. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Another question that we've got from the audience is Infinity Planet. Did everyone see that press release that came out today? A fairly significant tourism infrastructure build in the Moreton Bay region. That's a very different proposition to what we've got up on the stage and probably what we've seen in Queensland for some time. I think we want to know from the audience, from the panel, what your thoughts are on new products coming into the market, the support from council, because I know Moreton Bay Council are so proactive and working closely with new product development. Is there sort of a trigger for where you go or what you look at, or is it a gap in the market? What made you decide Sunshine Coast, for example?
I used to get my lollies and lamington and meat pie from the Surf Club bakery right there. We grew up there, we're from the coast there. Tim's dad bought the site in 1990, so that was somewhat logical. But look, I'm not sure how certain people, get things to stack up. I know development, most developments are private developer led, so there's lots of different ways you can do things, and there's a lot of projects that get up that I scratch my head about, and then there are others that fail, which you think are really logical. So, I sort of best of luck to everyone. I haven't really looked into it. I don't know much about it, but anyone that's willing to invest and have a crack, I respect and take my hat off to them, because it's not easy.
It's not easy with challenges, is it?
Yeah, I think one of the things, this is my first conference, and one of the things that's vastly different for me coming from a sports sort of background is how coordinated the industry is. I mean, you're all in a room, and I think it's pretty exceptional. And I have travelled the planet to look at attractions, and when attractions come in all forms, whether it's in the enviro stuff, I think the government's nailed the strategy around those 45 locations. But when you look internationally at what the standards are, I mean, from Saudi Arabia, some of the stuff they're doing in the Red Sea there is just phenomenal, through to Europe, whether it is in the world we're playing in surf, to the eco-friendly sort of stuff. I think we've got, the inspiration is around globally, and it's a lot of fun to go and check it out, so I'd suggest doing a lot of that.
And we're running out of getting close to time, but a quick question just on our traditional owners and how these projects sort of work alongside of and with our traditional owners. Naomi, what about you?
We had Mikey and Minnie Mace, our traditional owners who came out from the early days and had a great connection to the museum. They've since passed, but they did all our cultural clearances on the jump up. It's freehold land. And I know David and Judy had a huge part in, Winton's got like most small towns, has a dark history. But really going out of way to introduce and form a relationship that really hadn't taken place before. So, and Charlie Chambers as well, who's also recently passed, to come back to site and view what we're doing there. And I think whatever you do, you have to do it well, and you have to do it with your brand and your integrity. If you go out and you do things to tick a box, they lose the integrity. They lose what the value is. And that's we often get asked if we do human history, and we don't. We do enough history. But we acknowledge the traditional owners of our region in a way that I think is unique to our region and our site. And it's not a tick and flick. It's not a every tour you have to say this. It has to be with meaning and realness that is warranted for the region. I'm probably not explaining that very well, but where we are now, where we want to be, are not the same places. And so there's growth in that field of doing something more, but it has to be something that is authentic. I mean, that word is used so much, but yeah, it's got to be, and it's got to be real, and it can't be just a WHS checklist almost of we've done that.
We're out of time, but just one quick question. If we could remove just one impediment from your potential projects apart from funding, what would it be, Michael?
I'll go last.
Oh, okay. We've run out of time. Okay, yes. No, Mick, go on.
I think I really liked what the Deputy Premier said around the fast tracking of approvals and that red tape piece. We've spent in the many, many millions of dollars getting an approval. Now those in order of $5 million. Now that $5 million, if it was $600,000, has $4.5 million more of attraction, $4.5 million more of experience. And so to those consultants in the room, we love giving you money, but I would much prefer to put it into some bill form. So I think that would be one of the things is that we all talk about red tape, but maybe those planning acts looking at it, whether you can go in and have those pre-lodgement meetings to sort of unlock and change the colour on a page so you can fast track some of this significant infrastructure.
Excellent. Naomi?
Really interesting question. I've never really thought about it. I mean, I've done a lot of bitching and moaning behind the scenes about things, but when I really think about it, I don't think I would change anything about what we're doing and how we're doing it and the purpose that we have and the impediments that we have. I wouldn't change the heat, I wouldn't change the distance, I wouldn't change the flies, and I wouldn't change more connectivity. I know that's a big issue, but I also think it's one of our strengths, so sue me. That you actually have to talk to someone.
Yeah.
I love the journey that we're on, and I sometimes think, God, what is it going to look like when it is done? Will I just move on and start my own damn museum? Because I don't want to, go back to the process. So everything, we've got so much support. People seem to love the idea. We've got enough dinosaur bones. Maybe if we find a stegosaurus, I can sell shit out of that, but that's about it.
You're gorgeous.
For every new condition an authority implements, they got to repeal 2. Make them think long and hard.
That's
now,
a
to mix it up,
challenge.
I got one for you too, Mel.
All right.
As the head of advocacy and strategy, if you had a magic wand that could make your job easier and all of ours, and you were premier for the day, what would you do? And don't be political.
Have you known me to be political? I would fast track. I would remove the planning approval processes and the layers and layers of different bureaucracy and just really fast track it. We've got 6 years next year to the game. We've got to get a load of accommodation built. We've got to get new products and refresh. The government is doing the right thing, and the tourism infrastructure grants that we've got underneath Destination 45 is absolutely the best way forward. I think there's a bit of work to be done, and it's happening, so I'm super excited for it. And I think with people like you here in Queensland doing what you do, it's going to be great. So thank you so much for your time.
Vote 1 for Mel Anderson.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.